This is my second time trying to film this video, and I've done like 5 or 6 takes of this introduction. Can I get it right? Hi everybody, my name is Adrielle. Welcome to my channel. Today I'll be doing episode 2 of the RANT or RAVE book reviews. And if you did not see the first one, basically how this goes is I analyze 4 parts of a story. I talk about the characters, the plot, the setting, and the pacing, and I rate each of those things. And then at the end, I'll culminate all the scores together to get my overall score about that book. So if that was really fast paced, I think I broke it down a little bit better in episode 1. I'm sorry, it's my like 4th time trying to redo this introduction and I'm just really out of it. I kind of don't think I should even be filming right now, but I'm trying, okay? Bear with me, this should be interesting. Today I'll be discussing the book called Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb, which is book 1 in the Farseer trilogy. Let's talk first about the characters. The main character's name is Fitz. I'm gonna pronounce some of these names wrong, I believe, but there's a character named Burrich. There's also the King Shrewd. There are his sons, Chivalry, Verity, and Regal. There's people like Patience, Lady Patience. There's the Fool. There are a whole lot of characters. So I think we would both be better off if I didn't try to, if you saw my last episode of this, where I talked about each individual character because there were fewer important characters. I think in this case, it makes more sense for me to only talk about the characters in an umbrella term, like in umbrella terms. I don't think I should go into each individual person because I think we'll be here all day. So basically what I can say about, I'm going to talk about Fitz because he's the main character and he's also my favorite character. I really enjoyed reading about Fitz. I love Fitz. I think he interacts so well with the adults. I think he's very mature for his age because in this book it follows him as a young boy all the way through to his teenage years. And so you see him as, it starts off when I think he's 5 or 6 or something like that, and you see him grow to like 15. And I think he was very mature for his age and for his years. I think he had very little choice in the matter. I think he had to grow up quickly, and I just have so much respect for Fitz. He's very intelligent. He's very resourceful. I enjoyed reading about him. At times his narrative voice could kind of drag a little bit in the way he described things and talked about things, but once you get used to the way that he talked, it became easier to read about him, and he is a very lovable character. I think out of all the characters, he's probably the most morally upstanding. He was just really interesting. And as for the other characters, I feel like a lot of books will sometimes have the main character clearly be the star of the show and have everyone else just like gray smudges in the background, kind of like pawns in the author's scheme, which, I mean, they are, but when you're reading about them, you kind of want to see them as people who exist on their own outside of the plot or outside of the main character. And I feel like these characters were all very interesting. I found myself being very interested in people like Lady Patience. I found myself very interested in the Fool. I found myself interested in Burrich and King Shrewd and all of his sons, really. And I wanted to know more about those characters. I think that Robin Hobb does an amazing job of making the characters feel real. The only thing is sometimes there were so many characters that I kind of got lost on who was who. And that's a me issue, I think, more than a Robin Hobb issue. But I'm not going to give the characters a 5 because it's not like, I don't feel like they're friends or something like that. In order for me to give characters a 5, I really have to really love them. And Fitz is the only one that I'm just like, oh my gosh, I just have so much love for Fitz. But as for the other characters, they're going to pull the score down a little bit to a 4. But I still think that there's some really awesome characters in this story. And I'm a very character-driven reader and writer. And so when it comes to a story, if it has great characters, I'm all in for it. So moving on to plot. The plot basically is about a young boy named Fitz, and he is the bastard son of Prince Chivalry, which is one of King Shrewd's sons. King Shrewd has 3 sons, Chivalry, Verity, and Regal. And Chivalry and Verity have the same father, which is King Shrewd. Wait, they all have the same father. Chivalry and Verity have the same mother, and Regal has a different mother. But they're all brothers. And basically, Fitz is coming into this world after his mother gives him up and says, you know, take him, and the kingdom takes him in. And basically, this is the story about how he becomes an assassin, and he basically gets used as a political pawn as a young child in order to fulfill tasks for different people in different varying positions of power and prominence in the kingdom. Basically, the book says barbarous raiders ravage the coasts as well. So yeah, these raiders are coming and they're harming the villages and they're ravaging the coast, like it says. And so you also follow along as we try to figure out what's happening with the raiders on the coasts. As for the plot, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very well thought out. I thought a lot of the little pieces of information, little mysteries that were there in the beginning, I thought Robin Hobb did an amazing job at the end of the story of wrapping them up nicely and like tying everything together. Like, I feel like she didn't really leave too many loose ends. However, one major, and I will not spoil it because this is spoiler free, one major loose end I felt like was still left open, and that really bothered me. I feel like I really wanted to know more about this. Like, she introduced this plot point, and I won't say what it is, but she introduced this plot point. I feel like she just tapped on it, and it was too big of a plot point, I feel like, to just leave like that. So that's why I'm going to give the plot a 4 and not a 5, but I really enjoyed the story. Now let's move on to the next category, which is the setting. In the setting, I think this is that basic medieval England type setting. I thought that the world felt pretty real in the sense that there's a lot of detail, like with Fitz, and he worked with the guy, I can't think of his name. He made paper for the kingdom, and there's all like, Robin Hobb went into all like the different papers and just little things like that that make it feel more detailed, make the world feel more real. And also she went into Fitz being an assassin, like a lot of the different poisons that they have, and you like there are different elements of the world, like whatever your name is, that's basically the traits you're gonna take as a person. Like there's shrewd, there's chivalry, verity, and regal. They're all like, they have their names that they live by, and the royals are supposed to like live up to those names essentially. So I thought that was some pretty clever world building, I thought, which would, I feel, go into this setting. The setting, I don't think it was inherently anything special or unique. However, this book is pretty old. Like, it came out in, let's see. It came out in 1995. So I feel like there has been a push in more recent years to kind of get away from the medieval, like, stereotypical fantasy setting. However, I absolutely love that setting, so I'm not mad whenever I see it. I know a lot of people are tired of it. I personally can't get enough of it. That's just me personally, and so I'm not taking off a whole lot for that. I just feel like it could have been a little bit more nuanced, and so I'm gonna give it a 3. Like, I wasn't crazy about the setting. Like, I don't know. It's getting a 3 from me. It's not bad. So that brings us to our last part of the review, which is the pacing, and that is the major issue I had with this book, actually. The major issue. As much as I love Fitz, there were times when I didn't think I could even keep reading this book, because this book was one of those books where, and I absolutely do not like it when books do this, they have these fast sections and then they slow down for a long time, and they have fast sections and they slow down for a long time. And then at the end, they'll speed up and get to the epic conclusion. I would much rather a book do that. And I said this in the last RANT video, but like when they have that slow and then they have the rising action, it's all leading toward a climax. And it's not like slow, fast, slow, fast, slow, fast, like in a jerky fashion. In some ways, this book kind of had that jerky feeling to it, where it just felt like it was like jerking and going slow and then going fast and veering left, and you're kind of like, what's going on? Especially since Robin Hobb had that one massive plot point that she kind of left dangling out there. And I know it's a trilogy, and so there will be other books, but as I said in the last video, I can only talk about this book independently of the rest of the series. I haven't read the rest of the series, and even if I had, this is only a review for this book, you know? Maybe I could do a series review when I finish and talk about how everything came together in a non-spoiler way, but as for now, I really wanted to know more with that one plot point, but whatever. But just, I felt like some issues with pacing. I really had an issue with the pacing of the book. The only thing at times that kept me reading was the fact that I enjoyed Fitz so much, and that I wanted to know how his story was going to end. So for that, I'm going to have to give pacing a 2.5 because it was just not that great. Sorry. So that brings us to an overall score of 3.375, which I went ahead and rounded up to 3.4. And last time, I don't think I rounded, but this time I'm rounding it up to a 3.4, which is a good score. I really enjoyed this book. I'm eager to start the second one. I already have the second one. I have it right here. I am so excited to start reading it. I don't know when I'll start reading it. I'm probably going to take like a nice break because I just finished this book today. I wanted to film this video while it was fresh on my mind. I'm so excited about continuing the series because I enjoyed these characters, and I cannot wait to continue reading about Fitz and just to continue to explore the world that Robin Hobb has created, because the more I know about this world, I think the more I'll actually enjoy it. You don't really get to know too much about the setting in these books because they are so focused on Fitz, because it's told in first person and it is about Fitz. But I'm loving the idea of continuing the series. So thanks everybody for watching. I hope that, you know, if you were considering reading this book, that maybe this helped you out a little bit, or if not, thanks for coming anyway. I'm excited to continue doing these reviews in the future. I feel like I got a lot of positive feedback from the first one, and so I will definitely be continuing these. These are some of my favorite videos to make thus far. And again, I will see you next time. Bye.